In a world where our friends call us not us united and our enemies call us midnight rain, two dudes must learn to podcast as the Fremen do in order to survive the desert planet of endless content. We don't care how many enemies we have. They'll never be prepared for us. Not us united. I'm really hoping Darcy gets into lacrosse so that I can drink LaCroix at her lacrosse.
That's a very specific thing. And you can kind of tailor that. You're in charge of setting her up.
You know what sport is predominantly played in the MTV hit series Teen Wolf?
Oh, Frisbee.
Lacrosse.
Oh. I've seen the movie.
You have? They played a little lacrosse. A 30-year-old man plays lacrosse in that movie.
Yeah, and everyone thought it was totally normal.
The movie or the show?
Both.
Oh, okay. Never seen it. I always saw like.
Nick, but I'm not recommending it.
What? Teen Wolf?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not Teen Wolf the movie, but Teen Wolf the movie, if that makes sense.
Different Teen Wolf the movie.
Not like Michael J. Fox Teen Wolf.
Oh, okay.
This is new Teen Wolf new
show,
movie.
The movie.
Yeah. Okay. I always saw like the Teen Wolf show as like a darker Jonas Brothers show. With,
Whoa.
Like, wolves, because it's just like a bunch of like
very pretty people.
Damn it.
but hairy people.
It's like
you could never ruin Teen Wolf.
It's like CW before the CW verse happened.
Yeah.
With werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
Like Oliver Queen runs because Teen Wolf howled first.
Oh yeah. Dude.
Wait, didn't it air on CW?
No, MTV.
Oh, duh, I'm an idiot.
I literally said that at the beginning of the podcast. Anyway.
It shows you how much
you're
I
probably
listen to
wondering
it.
what this podcast is named, and that's what I'm here for. Okay, right. My name is Nick, and this is my podcast, Not Us United.
That's great.
With my co-host, and also co-founder and CFO of Not Us United. Not technically, but it's in the works.
It's in the works. I'm trying to get as many
Michael
letters
Zavala.
as I can. Thank you. I thought for a moment you would say Levi, just to spite me.
Just to piss you off.
It's in the works. And then with us, well, you've already kind of spoiled it, so now I can't even.
Sorry, I'm the CFO. I can do what I want.
That dude.
It's true. Ain't that the truth? That's how it works. Traveling vast distances to be here in person.
Yeah.
We're here with our friend Levi, who might have the most guest appearances.
Maybe. I think Kenzie gives
close.
him.
Yeah, it's like I think our sisters might take it just for the movie drafts.
Yeah.
But non-blood related
that's true.
You are it.
Because you have been on Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
You've been on two Stranger
Doctor Strange
Things.
2.
Yeah, Doctor Strange, the second one.
Dude, remember Doctor Strange 1 though? That was our girl Olivia.
Yeah,
shout outs.
Olivia. Yeah.
Miss you. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
But yes.
And
sorry,
then
back to Levi.
Yeah.
We'll just talk about Olivia and then.
Oh, remember when we talked about a movie with Olivia?
Doctor Strange. We've popped off on our Doctor Strange podcasts. Those are some of our best.
Watch out for Doctor Strange 3 whenever that happens.
Ooh, baby.
Because we will be talking about it.
Yes, sir.
Dude, D3. Let's get it. I'm sorry, DS3, baby.
D23. 2 Stranger Things episodes for season 4. Okay, I know. I've been on this podcast before.
You have.
That's
our CFO,
and this is your 4th episode with us?
Yes.
Okay.
I think to be back.
Okay.
It's a pleasure.
And most of our TV episodes have been with you.
Yeah.
We don't typically do
TV.
just straight movies with you.
Except you said that last time. You said Aaron was the first one we did TV with, but then you totally forgot about all the other TV episodes we've done.
No, shows that we love. We've reviewed TV shows. We haven't done the TV shows that we love episode. And that was what that was.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I'm still gonna
I'm just gonna need you to take one big step back. And let's not embarrass Levi tonight. Okay, let's put our differences aside.
Okay.
Dude.
For one day, we won't fight just for you.
I don't care. We can get into that argument.
I just want you to be the Mandalorian I know you can be.
Wow, thank you.
Oh, dude.
Starting out strong with this episode. Luckily, you made that comment because we are going to be talking about The Mandalorian Season 3 this week.
Some could say this is the way.
Whoa.
Man, they say that a lot in this
They
show.
said that. I feel like this season especially, they said it a lot.
Like,
this is the most, this is the way per minute.
There might have been one scene, no spoilers, where I'm pretty sure Din Djarin's like, this is the way. And then there's another Mandalorian's like, this is the way.
And then a third
And then there's like a third one that's just like not even in the conversation. Comes like, this is the way.
And then us, the audience, is like, this is the way.
And then we're like, this is the way. And then Grogu's like, and we're like, that.
And I think that episode ended like that one time where they just said, this is the way, this is the way.
And Grogu was just like, yes.
Yeah, yes.
Because that's like all his vocabulary is comprised of is yes and no.
It's been a hot minute though, because like season 1 and season 2 were about a year apart, and I feel like this was an actual decent little gap of time due to The Last of Us, most likely.
Yeah, it's felt like a parsec of time between the last season. Am I right?
Maybe 15.
Yeah.
Kessel's runs.
I mean, yeah.
Grogu's.
Holy cow, the Force. Am I right? Jeez.
Midichlorians between these boys and the Force.
We like Star Wars.
Anyways,
okay,
let's give a little background. I don't think we've actually reviewed Mandalorian. And as well, I like to throw in the Book of Boba Fett in there because it's basically Mandalorian 2.5.
It's 2.5.
What are our general
Tales
thoughts, Levi, as our guest, as potential CFO, as potential Mandalorian expert of the podcast? COFFO.
What? I mean, like, you guys are throwing out these acronyms.
CFO, he's our finances. COO, you're our chief
operating officer.
Yeah, and then
CFFOO
Mr.
is just a bunch of letters.
Mr. President is what they call me.
So we've got the president.
Mr. CF, Mr. President. There's double Mr. in that.
That's a pretty high honor.
I'm not legally able to discuss it, but yes.
Double man.
Talk to my lawyer.
Double masculine.
Man. President.
Yeah.
Anyways.
What was your question?
Yeah, great. That's a great question. Your question was a great question to what my question actually was.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Mandalorian season 1 and 2, and also Book of the Boba Fett season 1?
I mean, there was so much hype going into Mando, just season 1 in general, and I feel like it did not disappoint.
Yep.
It was a good, because I mean, we had gotten obviously the sequel trilogy, which was a letdown among longtime fans.
You might be the only one who thinks that, but go ahead.
Wow, that's a hot take. I've never heard that before.
Dude,
Yeah.
I know. I mean, like, I'm treading dangerous
Quite
waters
brave.
here.
You're quite brave.
Well, if I get blasted, then you just don't have me on the podcast again. It's fine.
We'll set that out.
So it was a breath of fresh air to get Mandalorian because it was so much better than a lot of the stuff that we'd gotten recently. And then season 2 came out, and it was, I would say, I preferred season 2 over season 1. Okay. I just thought it was, I mean, it introduced Boba Fett, it introduced all the characters, then we got Ahsoka and Luke, and like, it was awesome. And then Boba Fett happened, which I was really excited for because we just didn't get a lot of Boba Fett, obviously, in the original trilogy, and then we got a little bit of him in Mando season 2. And then now they're like, hey, we're going to give him his own show. It's going to be great. We're going to explore him, kind of overtaking Jabba the Hutt's kind of kingdom. And he's going to be like the new head honcho. And then 3 episodes in, they were like, oh, yeah, Mandalorian can take over now. Din Djarin, he's like, kind of, we go back to him for like 3 episodes. And then like one of the episodes in Boba Fett, they're like kind of planning an attack or whatever, and then literally the entire episode is Mando and Grogu, and then I think it's Luke and Ahsoka, and then it's just like they're in a meeting and it just pans over Boba, like he's just like a side character.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, like this is called the Book of Boba Fett, and Boba Fett's not even like the center.
I wonder too, when they were writing this, if they just thought that Boba had too much baggage to make him the main protagonist of a TV show where they could do anything.
Right.
But then they told all of the good Boba Fett stories.
Right.
And then they're like, but hey, let's get him in now. And then they're like, oh, wait.
What do we do with the Mandalorian?
we were like, we did the best. We've already done the best hits.
Yeah.
And it's with someone who's unrelated to anybody. This is perfect. This is exactly what fans need. Something that's not attached to anything. Even though there's like that Luke thing that happens.
Yeah. Which I thought was cool. Like, I get why they did it. I get why they added that whole little kind of spiel where Din Djarin goes to see Grogu but then can't see Grogu, and then Grogu leaves and chooses the way of the Mandalorian other than the way of the Jedi. So like it definitely set up season 3, but
Sure.
it's like I personally would have preferred them to, if they were going to put Mando in Book of Boba Fett, they would have just put him in half of one episode.
Mhm.
And then even if it was like, hey, the season finale of Boba Fett's happening,
Let me call a friend, you know.
yeah, exactly. And so I thought that would have been better than like literally giving half the show to Mandalorian.
sure.
Which again, I'm not complaining. The episodes
No.
in that
They are great episodes.
exactly. Yeah.
But it feels weird.
Yeah.
It
And-
feels like
yeah.
they know who their all-star is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's kind of
Which is weird being a Boba Fett,
no
where
kidding.
like he was the all-star for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he also is like, he's like myth though, where like his character grew way beyond whatever he did in the original movies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He had like 2 scenes where he's like, that guy looks badass.
I mean, he got smoked by a blind guy.
You're just like, but like Boba Fett looked cool.
Yeah.
That was his character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just funny that like, oh man, it's Boba Fett, everybody. And it's like, yeah, remember what he did? And it's like, no one can say what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He's just awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And so it made sense to tell more of his story, but
It just didn't. It kind of.
they were just too concerned about their main story, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. I would have preferred them to flesh it out more in Mandalorian's actual own season.
Yeah.
And then I mean we'll talk about it later, but like I don't know. Just it felt like it just didn't fit in the Boba Fett kind
Mhm.
of thing. And then it just kind of made Boba Fett second in his own show.
Yeah, it's weird.
And then something that was really freaking cool in Boba Fett was they had not Cobb Vanth,
Cad Bane.
Cad Bane.
Oh
thank
yeah.
you. Like he showed up and everybody was like, "What, Cad Bane?" Like you could tell who it was with the hat brim, like in the distant of the hazes of the heat.
Blue-faced guy.
Dude, like he showed up, everybody was like, "Yo, no way!" And then like
The guy
season
from
finale, he's
Avatar.
like,
No, I'm just kidding.
dead.
Yeah.
Like I mean, they fumbled
Yeah.
that so hard. They could have not killed him and kept him
Yeah.
alive and had him be like a mini protagonist in Mandalorian season 3 or
Yeah, you
Boba
can
Fett
bring
season
him
2.
back and-
Like, but they just killed him off. I'm like, dude.
Mhm. One of the issues I feel like too with timeline is I feel like Disney has sometimes written themselves into really like, we have to make this close enough that we can have
Sure.
it tie into something, and it can never be far enough away that it can't like be
Stand on its
connected,
own, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like, and so Mando having to exist between 6 and
And
7,
Mm-hmm.
you just know something huge has to change for the Empire at some
Mhm.
point. So even though we're like seeing victory, we know at some point, you know, bad stuff will
Mhm.
continue to happen.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that sucks because then you have stuff like that where like, well, Cad Bane can't be alive for too long because
He has
if
to.
he is, we have to explain why he's not in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So let's
Mhm.
explain it now. Boom, dead. And it's just
Yeah.
like, oh god, like just like I don't know. I just don't know why they have to like. It's like they feel like they have to cut the characters so that we don't ask questions on why they weren't in things.
Yeah.
But
They're not
it-
going to show every single person in the galaxy that we know.
It's
Right.
okay, you know, like.
Like,
And-
where's Obi-Wan's ghost in Force Awakens?
And there's a
Ugh,
good
I don't
chunk
know.
of time. It's like 30 to 40 years.
Yeah,
Between
something
Mhm.
like that.
6 and 7. So like, even if you're like 5 years after or something, like you can. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think maybe like one of the reasons they killed him was like we got a lot of him in Clone Wars.
Cad Bane, yeah.
And he was a pretty imposing character and then so like
Sure.
we knew his capability, so like live action would have been nothing new, but it was still would have been cool
Mhm.
to have him be alive more.
Well, yeah. The thing I would argue though is that I think a lot more kids watch Clone Wars, and I think a lot more adults watch Mandalorian, who maybe
Mhm.
have watched Clone Wars and know
Well,
who
yeah,
Cad Bane
now
is.
that's us.
Maybe,
like,
yeah. But like, my wife Kate wouldn't know who Cad Bane is,
Yeah.
so she
Yeah.
could have time with him. You know,
Mhm.
like it would be okay.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Give him something, you know.
Mhm.
or like the looming like Thrawn thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that because there's some great stuff with Thrawn,
Mhm.
but everyone knows all the great stuff with Thrawn. So now I'm just like, oh no, are they gonna like put this guy in a box because he has to be this amazing character for this specific arc, and they can't just do anything with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now I'm worried because it's like Thrawn. They just keep saying it. Thrawn, where is he? He's not here, but Thrawn, he's around. Like Thrawn will be here. And it's like I get it.
He's coming,
but I don't know what story he's gonna get because they keep pushing it and pushing it. So, be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nick, did you ever finish Book of Boba Fett or?
No, I watched all of the Mandalorian that I needed to know.
So you're fine.
In Book of Boba Fett.
Got it.
Because basically people are just like, hey, here's the 2.5 episodes.
Yeah.
And I was like, got it. I'll just watch that then.
And thoughts on that? And thoughts on first 2 seasons of Mando?
I think the reason why it works as a show and it kind of like hit as hard as it did was for the very reason that it wasn't connected.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started to tread towards like connective tissue. I actually personally was good with the Luke thing.
Yeah, I agree.
At the end of season 2, I was good with it. I also was kind of good with that being like the Grogu story.
Yes.
100% agree.
I agree. Yeah.
It feels weird to then like
bring him back.
To have not only bring him back, but bring him back in a different show.
And also immediately.
So season 3 starts with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll explain why, like, whatever. We won't get into season 3 spoilers. There's still some cool stuff that goes down with the two of them that I like.
Yeah.
But I thought, like, season 1 and season 2 were dope.
Yeah.
And then I was just ready to see a bounty hunter do bounty hunter things.
Mm-hmm.
If we're just going to continue to do, like, fetch quests.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm good with it because I don't care who he will be connected to. He could do, like, a job for the Jedi. Oh, cool. There's a little, like, wink, wink, cool, cool. Like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with all that. I just thought it was going to be more of that, like, the greatest hits of, like, hey, let's go to this planet because this is the only way to make us travel this much of the galaxy and have it make sense in a story without forcing you to have like a 2-hour movie that makes no sense that's hitting all of these planets. So I was a little disappointed when I found out that that's not what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like without spoiling anything. So when Grogu came back, I was like, oh no, it's gonna be about family again. Okay, I mean I know that Star Wars,
which is fine, and
it's always been that, but like it's okay. Like I wouldn't mind having like a PG-13 bounty hunter Disney Plus show where it's like, hey, he does bounty hunter things, like kill people because he wants money.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I know he's Mandalorian, whatever. Like, there is a way, but I don't know. Feels like it's a little flexible at times.
Yeah. So. What about you, Michael? What did you think of Mando seasons 1 and 2 and Book of Boba?
Yeah, I think I'm along the same lines. I liked the hype for season 1. I thought it hit really well, and I think season 2 is better than season 1. And I was happy and excited for what came next for the Mandalorian character after at least being maybe a season without Grogu. I know we all love Grogu. He is very cute. But like I think he is hampered in some ways because he has to like take care of this
100%.
thing that cannot take care of himself. And so like I wanted to see the planet hopping of doing this and this and this. Correct. And like and we can get into more of that for what happens in season 3. But I was ultimately just kind of disappointed in that, and having Grogu come back immediately 3 months later in our like watching timeline. And just feeling like no wait has happened. Yeah. And so that led me into a pretty like lukewarm entry into season 3.
Yeah.
And I would say I left also fairly lukewarm. And so that's where I'm at.
Perfect. Yeah, I think we all like agree to some point that like the whole Grogu thing it's awesome. Great character. You made all of the money. You won.
Yeah,
Disney.
you got all the shirts. And
hopefully
whatever.
that made up for like all the pandemic stuff, I hope. But, but like I'm
bring him back season 4. Cool.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, that's fine by me. But it just felt like we had an opportunity to do new things, and they like, oh wait, marketing and merchandise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and I will say without spoiling much, I do feel like at least Grogu is used
well,
somewhat less as an annoyance and more as like a character in season 3, which is cool. But again, like I think it just doesn't quite hit to the effect. Like when there's all these like tender family moments, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I guess. I'm still like, we got light speed to like you dropping him off, and then it was just immediately like the whiplash of that. I'm just not able to hit with you guys.
I agree.
At the same time with
I
these
agree.
moments. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do general thoughts of season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a quick rating, and then let's get heavy into spoilers because
Sounds good.
there's some stuff that's gonna go down. I
Oh
think.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Nick, overall rating?
Great question.
A Mando out of 10.
I mean, I know I set this question up, but then when you asked me, I'm like, oh man, already calling me out on my bluff. Here's my overall thoughts on season 3. When this show hits its highs,
Howdy.
it is probably some of the highest highs of the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some particular parts of the show that I'm like, wow, that was really awesome.
Yeah.
But those are so few and far between that I would say that's my least favorite season.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So like there's like these really cool one-off like scenes that I'm like, damn, that is pretty cool that you guys probably were able to bump up the budget and like throw that thing in there. That was cool. Like cool, awesome, like it. But I feel like the story wasn't something that I cared for so much that I was like sitting there just like, come on, like I'm rooting for everyone. So that left me kind of in a weird spot because I was like, dang, there's some really cool Star Wars stuff in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's too bad because it's kind of been thrown together where like 3 of these episodes are really important and like the rest are just kind of
There.
and it's not even like fetch questy, like let's go explore this thing. It's just kind of like, we can't get to the finale yet, so here's 5 episodes.
Yeah. No, seriously. I think what's hampering is they had the whole plot of like, here's our big end goal mission, and they couldn't get there so quickly.
Yeah.
And so because they can't get to
They could have
the
been there
future
by, like,
stuff yet
episode
because
3.
Ahsoka needs to come out and whatever.
Yeah.
And so it just felt like
It got the
drawing out.
It got the Avengers treatment where it's like, hey, wait, we need you to wait like 6 years because you're good. Because we haven't done Avengers 2 yet.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, okay. Damn. I thought Mando was like foolproof.
Ready.
Like
Yeah.
he's the safest character that you can just be like, who cares when this is?
Mm-hmm.
He could be doing all of these jobs in a week. We don't know. Like it could be like 4 days where he just goes on like a Daredevil hallway fight scene for like a week straight where he's just like, I go here, I light speed over here, I start shooting these guys, light speed back over here, I'm killing these guys, I'm saving these people, this Jedi guy kind of likes me, it's a dope. And then it's like, that can be his show.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just bogged down. It almost feels like there's this tether called Grogu and the way or something that's just like, I don't know.
I don't even think it's necessarily Grogu that's the tether. Like that felt, yes, something hankering it down, but it also felt like the whole, I guess I don't know how far we can really get into it. Like the overarching, what the end goal of this is, I felt was even hampering it down. Like it trying to get to that, but we're not trying to get to that. But then we are trying to get to that, but then we don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't work. It didn't work for me, almost at all. And there's moments where I'm like, dude, this is dope.
And it's
and
actually
there's some awesome visually.
It's really connected to season 1,
right
more than it is 2.
It's like barely
but
need
2
2.
was awesome.
Yeah.
So it was just like, damn, this is like, this was the. It's almost like they did the seasons out of order. It should have gone 1, 3, 2, and then just like have
Ended
2
that
just
one.
be the pop off like end, and then season 4 is a freed Din Djarin who can just now go and do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I feel. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
No. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10.
Wow.
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Go ahead, Levi.
I definitely agree with a lot of your comments for sure.
Oh boy.
The pacing.
There's a butt in here.
No.
There's a big old butt in here.
But it's my
The
favorite season of all time.
The pacing was a bit off. Like, they didn't really get to me. They really didn't get to the major plot of what was going on until like mid-season. So there was like 3 or 4 episodes where like, what's going on?
What?
I mean, like Grogu and Din Djarin doing some stuff was sweet. Don't get me wrong. Always cool. But it was like they just didn't really have a clear. To me, it didn't seem like there was no clear like objective, and so it just kind of made the finale not as exciting because it wasn't a huge build-up. It was like a mid-season build-up, which you're like, okay, this kind of happened. I really personally liked what they did with Bo-Katan this season. Just like kind of where they took her character. She seemed more of a focus this season, which I loved Bo-Katan from Clone Wars. So like, I was excited to see what they did with her.
And it is the same voice actress who plays.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
That's cool.
So my overall rating, I would say, again, my least favorite of the 3 seasons, 3.5 seasons. But I would still give it a solid 6.5, almost 7.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm gonna say 7. That's what I
Okay,
wrote down.
7.
I wrote
Wrong.
7. Like season 2 would be a 9, 9.5. Season 1 would be an 8, 8.5, and then season 3 is like a solid 7.
Point and a half down.
Yeah. So I mean, the shows haven't been bad by any means. It's just season 3 was just a little lackluster.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
I would say this season is worse than the 1.5 episodes we got in Boba Fett.
okay,
Damn.
dude. that's
Bro's
insane.
colder than Emperor Palpatine.
I liked that episode in Mandalorian of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
It was good.
Is it possible to learn this confidence? Not remotely.
And so yeah, I'm right around there with you. I think I'm ending up at like a 6.5. I think there are some moments where I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I love this. Like just anytime there's like a ship in this season.
It's just a ship, which is like 90% of what Star Wars is space stuff.
I'm like, man, that's a good looking ship, man. I love that ship. It looks so good.
Okay,
I'm ready to record.
are you?
I think it looks good. I'm like, oh, they're flying through the air.
I mean, you're not wrong.
They look so good.
The CG does make the ships look really
Oh,
good.
and there's a sky, man. Oh my gosh, I'm freaking
I
out.
just need so much control. So much control to not make fun of you for the rest of this podcast. Oh, okay. I'm not going to talk for a while.
I like the ship. It looks good.
I like the ships too. They do look
Yeah,
good.
they do
Yeah.
look good. I think the budget's there. This is what you said, Nick. I'm repeating what you said.
I'm just getting like flashbacks to just some of our previous conversations. Like, holy shit, there's ships in this thing. There's like,
You telling me?
there's beautiful
You
ships.
telling me
in
that there's
Star
ships
Wars?
in Star Wars? There's a rat in the Gotham PD and there's Star Wars ships in Star Wars? Okay.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I think there's moments where I'm like, this looks amazing. I can't believe that they're doing this.
Sure.
I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, okay, when I say I like the ships, the fleet, the Mandalorian fleet, that's a nice looking fleet. I'll tell you
dude,
what.
for sure.
I'll tell you what. And so it's just like, I'm like conflicted because it feels like it's
No,
the Avatar 2
I get what you're saying.
of the Mandalorian. You know, it's like, beautiful. I don't care. You know?
Avatar
Yeah.
2, this is the way.
Yeah, this is the water.
This is the water.
This is the waterway. And so
yeah, I get what you're saying.
it feels like, oh, we have this end goal and we're going to get there, but then somehow we don't really get to the halfway
Yeah.
point, but then also we don't really ever get to it, I think there's really a moment in spoilers where I'm like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And they just like overwrite it. And so yeah, it's not like it's bad. I enjoyed watching the show.
Yeah.
And I was looking forward to like keep watching it. Like it's a show that I'm consistent with. And honestly, I would see another season because the way that it ends, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for more of what this is. And that's kind of what I thought this season would be.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yes, it's hampered down by Grogu, but it's also hampered down by like the Disney Plus of it all.
Yep.
Of like, we can't get to certain things because Ahsoka's going to get to that. Or this show's going to get to that.
We can't say this person's name yet because they haven't been introduced.
And so this felt like if this came out next year, they could have done more things. They could have done.
Like they had to make it because of Pedro's schedule. So they're like, what
can we do?
What do the fans have access to yet?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so 2 years from now they'll know this, and this, right? Yep. Okay, now let's make it. You know?
Right. So they were hampered by creative. Like,
this was half
controls
written and then half like improv. It felt like kind
probably.
of.
Yeah.
Well, and what I'm worried about is Marvel went down this road in Phase 4 where it was like, hey,
here's stuff.
Yeah, and we're just gonna push and push and push, and
Here comes the content.
Star Wars. I mean, the movie, the sequel trilogy, it wasn't pushed fast. It just wasn't. The story wasn't there. It wasn't made very well. Again, looked really good. Ships were awesome.
Very brave.
The ships were awesome. I will concur.
Great. No questions.
But
no question.
now that we're getting like TV shows, again, I'm ashamed to say it, but I still haven't seen Andor, and I think it's because
Tell you the ships on that one.
Oh, dude, are they nice?
I don't know. I don't remember the ships that well.
Have you seen it?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, it's
There's
great.
a particular episode where the ships look
There is-
great.
there is
because
true.
They
There
do
is
some
true.
really cool.
Andor's way better.
It is okay.
Way better than this
I need to
season.
watch it. And
Yeah.
I think the
Andor's
reason,
like, what if Game of Thrones and Star Wars had a baby and you didn't see any nudity?
my kind of show. I think
It's
the
great.
reason
It's
I
a great
just
show.
didn't see it was because I loved Rogue One. I loved it, but because it wasn't like a continuing character, it just didn't feel necessary to.
No,
make
I thought
a
the
show
same
about
thing.
it.
I'm like, why do I
would
care
I
about
watch
Andor?
this?
Yeah.
And then you watch, like, oh my gosh, this is incredible.
Okay, so I do need to watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
and the lead actor's name is Diego Luna,
Luna.
which is one of the most badass
Oh, for sure.
actors of all
That's-
time.
That's a dope name.
He's a beautiful man.
So I say all that to say, like, I just hope that Disney doesn't go the Marvel route where they're just gonna push content. Doesn't matter how
Yes.
bad it is. It's gonna get the popularity. It's gonna people are gonna pay Disney Plus subscriptions to get it, to watch the show. They're gonna, go to the movie theater to watch, whatever.
And it sounds like from the recent news of the Marvel release schedule,
They're
slowing it down,
Yeah.
so they'll probably do the same thing with the Disney stuff. And so I don't think this season necessarily is like, oh, it's bad, it's awful. Stop
No,
production of
no,
all
not
shows.
at
But it's
all.
just like,
Yeah, but that's how it started with Marvel.
Yeah.
And when Endgame
But when you get
came
like
out,
8 in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After Endgame came out and then they released No Way Home, all the stuff that's released are like, okay, sure.
Yeah, I'm still not bought into the fact that they're like, oh, just give us our time. Phase 4 will make sense in time. No, I don't think like anything that was introduced in Phase 4 is going to be like, oh yeah, okay.
That's
so
why
that
there was a big sky guy.
Okay. No, I mean Phase 4 was filler / getting people maybe to a point on the chessboard where they're ready for next Avengers movie.
Right.
Sure.
And so I think season 3 of Mando is just like a filler.
For sure.
Like
Yeah.
it wasn't bad. It wasn't great like seasons 1 and 2, but it was just like a filler. Then we'll do Ahsoka, and then we'll
Ahsoka's
do
gonna be dope, I
whatever.
think.
Oh yeah,
Feeling good about it.
I'm pumped.
yeah. There's gonna be orange lightsabers.
But yeah, if you would have told me, hey, Mandalorian,
Pretty
just
cool.
outlaw bounty hunter who can just do whatever he wants in the Star Wars universe, and/or a story about a character that we for sure already know the fate of because he was in Rogue One, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, the greatest character of like all Star Wars history. Guess which show's the best?
Yeah. That's a great point.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
So it's just weird how
Yeah.
the Star Wars universe works because sometimes what is like free cash in the bank, or what it seems like an Obi-Wan show,
Yeah.
isn't good.
Mhm.
And then you have Andor, of a
dude that
character who
dies.
you know exactly. It's a prequel character who dies during Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't really give a crap about it. Oh, okay, I do. Never mind. That was really good.
Yeah.
Holy cow. And then they're like, and there's going to be a second one. It's like, oh my gosh. And
Mm-hmm.
it's still going to have the struggle, because if it continues, it will eventually have to become Rogue One, and then it's over.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know why they keep doing this to themselves, but just like make stuff where like people can either
keep
continue or just say, we're doing limited series and it's okay.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't have to continue. Like, it
Yes.
doesn't have to be this
Yeah.
big.
Because I mean, like, I know Ewan McGregor. I think he said that he wouldn't mind doing a season 2 of Obi-Wan.
Sure.
But like, I mean, you can definitely do it, and people will watch it.
He's
me
not the
being one of
problem
them.
with
No,
Obi-Wan.
he's not.
Right.
No.
Hello there.
So
God
I mean,
bless that
again,
man.
like it's the same thing with Andor. We know what happens to Obi-Wan in Episode 4.
Sure.
But that
But
doesn't
there's like 4 movies we have with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
yeah.
Yeah. For
and,
sure.
and we not only 4 movies, but we've got 4 movies.
Now, if you count them as a ghost,
yeah,
season 6 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, then we've got the prequels, and then we've got the entire Clone Wars saga.
Yeah.
So, like,
We've
we
been with
have
this character for so long.
A ton of Obi-Wan. And now, granted, I think there's more Obi-Wan in Clone Wars than there is live action. So people are like, we want more
Yeah.
live action. We want Ewan McGregor back. And we got it, and it was good.
I
But
mean,
it wasn't like
yeah.
mind-blowing, like, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah. It was just, I was surprised that the majority of Obi-Wan's life is spent between movies 3 and 4. And they had a chance to dive into it. And it just, again, it has to keep connecting. But when it connects to the thing that isn't going to kill him yet, it's not a compelling story.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
And they just, they don't. They play it way too safe. And I get the whole, like, this is meant for kids, it's meant for kids. Get ready, here comes Darth Vader. But I don't think that has to excuse at least, like, doing something different, or
Yeah.
at least explaining something in 40 years where maybe it isn't connected to Revenge of the Sith or
Yeah.
A New Hope, and it's just him doing something that called him off planet. You know,
Yeah.
that it was better than that.
And I think the problem is they all, Marvel included, but we're talking about Star Wars, they feel like they have to connect everything. Everything that is forced through television, Disney Plus, or movies has to be connected in some fashion or another. It's like, that's why me personally, I loved Visions, because it was not connected to anything.
Oh, I need to check that out.
It was there. Everybody
The anime, right?
had the
Yeah.
anime. It was amazing. Like, everybody had their opportunity to create their one little short snippet Star Wars story.
Yeah, it's great.
It was cool. Each episode had its own art style, its own story. It was unique. Again, wasn't connected to anything else, so it's like something we could enjoy. This is like, we didn't have to be like, oh, okay, there's that connection, and oh, that's connected too.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's a character from something we saw in episode 1. You know, it's like, we don't have to worry about that. We can just sit and enjoy without having to dissect every
for sure.
single little detail. So, yeah.
All right.
Well, talking about dissecting every little detail, let's talk about the season 3 spoilers for Mandalorian.
Yes,
do you
sir.
guys
Season
want to
3.
start low and then end high? Or do you
I
want to
mean-
start high and then go low?
Like, you mean positives to negatives,
Yes.
negatives to positives? I think it's good to end on a positive.
Yeah, let's do some
Perfect.
negatives.
Let's talk
Okay,
about
because
some
I've got a
negatives.
few that I want to just
Please.
Yep, go for
get
it.
off my chest. We finally get back to the whole Moff Gideon
Yeah.
storyline.
Mafi G.
That's fine. Like, I do agree that they had to take him off the board. I enjoyed kind of his whole plot of, like, what if I could combine everything and make a bunch of, like, Captain America Jedi clone things,
Sure.
whatever. Fine. What I didn't like was that there were parts of this season that felt very much like a D&D campaign where, like, they, like, had to describe the bad guys, what they were wearing, what they
I'm
were
wearing Beskar armor,
Yeah.
and then these people all have force midichlorian powers, and you
Yes.
can't defeat my clone army. Oh, you pushed a button and you defeated them?
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
But there was a particular scene where he's meeting up with all of the, not Empire, but Empire guys.
Oh, they're standing in a room.
and
yeah.
they're figuring out their stuff.
Thrawn's coming, don't you
Thrawn's
worry.
coming, don't worry, yeah. A lot of stuff wrong with that, obviously. But, like, I'm not even going to get into that. Like, you can just watch that scene. They just had to give more screen time to Moff Gideon so he didn't just die, because
Yeah.
that was, like, his thing.
Yeah, quote unquote.
endless resources. I know they're still building kind of from the ground up, but clearly have like endless resources still. They're talking about forging like the it's not the new empire, it's the
New Order.
New Order. Yeah. They're starting to kind of hint that that's happening
on Mandalore.
on Mandalore. And he's like, the Mandalorians are coming to reclaim Mandalore, and they're like, oh, that's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Maybe like we should send help. Well, he requests specifically 3 guards, and that's like, and like a little fleet of people with jetpacks. But like, if this gets taken, this is like one of the biggest thing that the New Order does. But what kills me is that he's like, I need 3, so it's believable that Mandalorian the Mandalorian can kill them.
Yeah.
I need a bunch of guys in jetpacks, so they're gonna fly in with ships, but then they're gonna fly out of their ships in with jetpacks because it's in a cave, and then it's like aerial combat, but everyone's just wearing jetpacks. But it just felt very like, we're going to need 10 jetpack warriors and 3 red boys, and they're like, okay, we'll send you exactly that amount, instead of like making sure that you just totally win this fight.
Yeah.
It was like it's like, that's what felt D&D from me. It's like, oh, we only have 3 guys left. Shit. Okay, well, you're taking on these 3 guys, and it's like, there's got to be like 50 of these guys. Just send all of them. Kill everyone.
Yeah.
You're the Empire, and they're just like, let's leave it
that's
at
a
3.
high cost.
Like,
no, they said that, like, say that without, it's like, oh, you're asking for 3 guards? Oh, you know about the future of the New Order, but 3 guards?
Yeah, that's
pretty
just
steep.
Like, and that broke me because they like bring them out and they want to show you the prowess of these like guards.
So they beat up one dude.
But that Mandalorian pops off and like kills like almost everyone, and then almost kind of takes out those 3. And then the only reason our boy Mando makes it is because finally Grogu can like be more than just, you know, like, oh, I have to go fetch him while fighting everybody. So that, like, for me, it was just like, that felt so like too calculated in a weird way that was just like, it really bothered me. The other thing I'm not liking is Grogu, like, there wasn't anything of like Force growth in this season, so he could have just done what he needed to do at any point, but just didn't. It was like, it almost feels like, is he just like a one-shot cannon thing where like once he uses it, he loses it? Because like, he doesn't help, he doesn't help, he doesn't help, he doesn't help.
He does.
And then he actually like could help, doesn't help. Then he finally helps when like there's nothing left. And I'm just like, I mean, I get that they built it for like season 4 for them to be like buddy, and like now that's like, hey, I'm got the blasters, this guy's got the like jumps, like, and now we're gonna like figure out what that combo looks like. But I just like, I cannot for the life of me figure out why bring him back if he's just going to sit there the entire time and just be comedic relief again.
No, that's it.
3rd season.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, I'm not like losing my mind, but I'm just trying to understand.
No, it's
because he is crazy powerful, and then he's like, but he's not, and then he is, and then he's not, and he just feels like too much of a MacGuffin that I just hate it. It's like, I want to love you, dude. You're really cool. Like, you could really show off like what the Jedi training has done for you, and all you're showing us is that like sometimes the Force works, maybe. And then when it does work, it works 100%. And it always is situationally the correct tool to use.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I just don't understand what their point was.
It's too much of like a Deus Ex Machina where it's like, oh, we will live because Grogu's around. That happens so many times during the show. And like, you know, at the end when the big explosion, there's the force field. It's like, oh, I guess Grogu can do that. Sure, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, why couldn't he do that when X, Y, Z, whatever. But they bring him back because of like, marketing, merchandise, whatever. But also because they wanted the end shot of Grogu with Mando on the planet. That's all it was. It's like they wanted them together in the end, and so Grogu had to be there for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
and so they gave him a little robot suit. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
The,
So it's like
corpse
so he
of the
could
droid
move.
thing, is that what
He
you're
can
talking
move
about?
and stuff.
Sure.
But then like the whole like building of the corpse. Or sorry, the corpses sounds like a bad word to use.
Well,
of like the droid body.
Exoskeleton,
Yeah,
basically,
and just
of
feels
the
like,
droid.
oh, here's the droid. We got to fix the droid. okay.
Yeah,
And then at the end, he's like, the droid's fixed.
more things happened in the last 30 seconds of the season than in the entire
Yeah.
season.
You got a home. You got a droid. You got Mandalore. You got
Like,
this.
he traveled to, like, 6 planets. I'm like, that's what you can do. You have the freedom to go anywhere. Let's just do it. And they're like, no. It's a Bo-Katan show, baby.
Yeah, and I didn't mind that it was a Bo-Katan show. Like,
Yeah.
sure. I liked the whole retaking Mandalore. That's what I knew this season was going to kind of be.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. But like, let's actually do it. And for me, like the whole Moff Gideon thing was fine. I didn't really care for Moff Gideon coming back.
Yeah.
So for me, the whole clone thing, and I liked the episode where they go on Coruscant, the scientist figures out the clone stuff, and
That was cool.
they still like that felt kind of cool, felt kind of Andor-like, and I'm not saying it was the best episode, but it was interesting.
Yeah.
But then like we're like building this whole like idea of him wanting clones, and then just doesn't pay off.
Yeah.
It's just like we have to stop him. It's like,
like we've
oh, I
done
didn't
this
know
one
you
before.
were really making this stuff, and then they just destroy it in like in an inconsequential way where it's like, oh, we're taking Mandalore, but I guess all your clones are also on Mandalore, so we stop that too.
Yeah. And it's hard, too, because just, like, there's a lot of times when they're in fights where, like, what is a killing blow and what isn't? When can you get hit and it's, like, devastating? And, like, there's just times when Mando's just, like, boop, 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 and, like, it just bounces off his, like, all of his stuff. And then, like, that one big badass Mandalorian, I don't even know what he's called, the dad
Big
guy.
badass Mandalorian.
Yeah.
That's him.
When he's taken on the guard, they like stab him and it like goes into him, but whenever they stab Mando, it just like it stays outside of him, like it never impales. And there's just like little things like that where I'm just like, I've never felt like someone has plot armor.
He literally has
like
plot armor.
until this show. Like I feel like everything he's like been really scrappy and like gotten out of, and then this one was just like, we got to fight the final boss. The most plot armor ever, you know, like it literally to the point where there's a force field around him, and that was even fine. Like I'm good. I knew Grogu had to do something because if he's gonna be there and you just have him jump off a ledge and then he has to like go save him again, it's like I get it. That's what you could have done. I was just kind of hoping for there to be some way either to communicate with him so we could learn a little bit about what he's been taught, because sometimes it's like, man, even just walking is difficult for you. So like I just don't even know like what is your purpose besides being like this cute thing and sometimes saving the day like so powerfully. Like I just that just kind of ticked me off because I was like, man, third time's a charm. Let's nail this thing. Like he's finally badass. He's got a lightsaber. Let's do this. And that little dude's like strutting too. Like it's the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. Like when he's walking and he's just like floating on air, it's like amazing. Like I was like, great. This is hilarious. Why?
Well, anyway. and like the thing for me about like the robot capsule thing that he was in, the exoskeleton, was cool. Like, oh, he's kind of got like a little bit more protection now or whatever. He can move a little bit easier. But it like, to me, it and again, he used his force abilities often this season, but I feel like that suit of armor just kind of
it delivered him to the place where he could use the force. So it was his Amazon box.
Exactly.
They couldn't have him be carried on Din Djarin the whole time. Essentially.
I don't know. I guess it was kind of neat to give him ability.
Well, we got Taika Waititi to talk to us a little bit more, which is cool.
So I mean, you know, and then I think my main, like I said before, like the plot and how it was kind of carried on through the season was kind of a letdown. But Moff Gideon was just not handled well this season, I don't think. I mean, he was, again, we got that episode of the Doctor in the Coruscant with the chick who was a part of the Empire, but now was kind of was like,
the
she was like,
agent.
Yeah. And so that was cool. And then we got like 2 episodes of that, that episode happened. Then we had 2 more and we're like, okay, what happened? And then we got that teaser at the end where it was like the broken ship, the destroyed ship in space, and the X-wing pilot finds it and it's like, oh, there's a piece of Beskar, and this ship was carrying Moff Gideon, and blah blah blah, and it's like, okay, so Moff Gideon is definitely confirmed to be in this series. We have 2 episodes left.
Exactly.
And so it's like it made Moff Gideon not such an imposing villain in this season as he was in the previous seasons.
Yeah.
Season 1, he had the Darksaber. We're like, oh crap, he's got this powerful weapon, and he's like a pretty important person in the Empire. Season 2, all-out war, trying to find Grogu and trying to capture him. Almost nearly succeeds. He's got the Dark Troopers, like these are pretty bad dudes, and then Luke comes to save the day. Awesome. Season 3, he's kind of in hiding. They have the meeting with the Empire dudes, and then
he got his 3 bodyguards.
Yeah. Then the finale happens, and he's like, "Oh, I've got this incredible armor made out of blah blah blah. You can't defeat me,
Tony Stark." I mean,
exactly.
No
and so then, I don't know. It just made the finale kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
The final battle was just
kind of cool.
It was cool.
I like the fight in the air and stuff.
Yeah.
But like
yeah.
slicing dudes in
It
half.
looked
I'm like,
good.
okay.
It looked awesome.
It looked good. It just doesn't make sense why it would happen.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No, it's like it was all like, okay, we have rocket packs.
Yeah.
Let's have people fight with rocket packs because
Sure.
that sounds really cool.
We haven't seen
looks
that. In a
badass.
while.
I haven't seen that. Yeah.
looks dope. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's this season in a nutshell.
They
for
just
me.
lowered
Yeah.
a spaceship in there and blew up the whole base. It's just like, how many Empire bases are gonna get blown up because people are just like, F it. Let's just like,
Yeah. And then to me, when I was watching it, it had elements of Return of the Jedi. You know, when Luke was fighting Vader and they had that, battle going on in the background.
Sure.
And so it was like, Din Djarin and Bo-Katan versus Moff Gideon. And then they had the jetpack in the battle going on and everything seems hopeless. And then the ship comes and destroys and quote unquote kills, which I'm not convinced
Definitely not
he's dead.
Definitely
I'm
not
like
dead.
100%
really?
confident he's
He was
not dead.
in a full plate of Beskar
Yeah,
armor.
like, he's
That's
got-
True.
He,
Did
like,
you not hear half the episode? Of
him like taunting them like, "Oh, my armor
this is definitely
forged
fireproof.
in You're Beskar. You're
That was the other thing too. Like Din Djarin like totally had the upper hand on Moff Gideon from a distance. It was just pegging him,
yeah."
and he's like, "Now I have to use my jetpack tackle attack," and it's like, "Don't like just keep shooting him because he's clearly got nothing." And he's like, "No, I'm gonna go fight this guy face to face." Like, no, just kill him right now. And he's just like, "I can't. I got to do my jetpack attack." And it's like, no, everyone did that. Even Bo-Katan, like when she was doing the duel with what's his face, it was like, just kill him. And she's like, no, jetpack attack. And then they have to like slam each other. It's like, just there's so many ranged weapons. Shoot them in the face. No, I can't do that.
No.
Jetpack attack.
Classic.
The other problem I had with the finale was every, season 1, season 2, 2.5, and even season 3, the Darksaber was so important.
Sure.
Like, whoever wields the Darksaber rules Mandalore. Moff Gideon has it in season 1. Din Djarin wins it in season 2 in his battle against Moff Gideon. Then Din Djarin's like trying to learn how to use it because he's just not proficient in it. And then season 3 happens, and then Bo-Katan, they find that little loophole. Like,
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
when
I was
neither have to
downed,
die still.
and then Bo-Katan saved me using the weapon, so it's technically hers. And we're like, okay, cool. She has the Darksaber, and now
Good.
she can
You did it. Yeah.
she can rule Mandalore. And then in the fight against Moff Gideon, he's like, snap, and then breaks the Darksaber. It's like, oh.
Oh, that was
like,
important.
That was pretty like, and he was like, hand over the Darksaber, Bo. You don't have the rights to rule Mandalore. I'm in control here.
Moff
or whatever.
Gideon, is that you?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Here's what I will say. The only reason I was okay with that was I think Bo-Katan was on to something with like,
Bringing people
we
together.
need to stop putting our hope in trinkets and like putting our hope in people.
Yeah.
And as soon as that died, they had no other choice but to be like, okay, maybe it is best to just like be unified rather than worship
The weapon.
the weapon. you
Yeah,
know?
and I get that, but
It
I
can
guess,
still be both because like the mythosaur is still badass and like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
cool that they dropped that it
Yeah.
like still exists.
Yeah.
And it is like godlike in a way. Like you're just like
just a giant
oh, shit,
thing.
it's like Cthulhu, but for like Mandalore. It's like
Exactly.
this is wild.
Yeah, and so I do see your point, and I do like that aspect, but it just like it was played out to be this whole huge thing,
Yeah.
and then it just like got a scene where it was snapped, and then that's it. It wasn't like
it's hard
it-
when they do that.
it was
yeah.
like it
Yeah.
broke.
This is important. This is important. This is important. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I guess those are like my only gripes. The following, the finale, the dark saber kind of getting thrown to the wayside
Mm-hmm.
to push this other kind of plot, forward. But I guess that was about it. I'm trying to think of anything else I really.
Is there anything else, or do we
Couldn't
want to move on to
really
some
didn't like.
positives?
I just think like I would love to know more of the way and like what they're going
this
to
is the
honor
way.
and what they're not going to honor
Yeah.
anymore moving forward. Because now that they're unified and like people can kind of like no helmets, but tradition still.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It'll be fun to like explore that because like the whole like we're finally unified and they're like, hey, make Grogu a Mandalorian. They're like, well, I can't talk. Sorry, that's the one rule. And it's like, damn. Okay, shit.
Yeah, but I'm adopting him, so it
But,
counts.
so like they're just little things where I'm like, I would like to explore those things explained eventually. Where it's
Yeah.
like, when do you go tradition route and when do you
Mhm.
just go, who cares?
Yeah, I love when the two clans meet each other, because it's just so funny. Like the this is the way people have like there's 40 people and they have like nothing, and then like Bo-Katan's old group is like, we have like 20 ships and we
Holy
got
cow, we got a
fly-
fleet,
and
baby.
and the other guys are like, yeah, we got you.
I've
like,
got a
we're
Gatling
gonna.
gun.
I'm like, no, come on, you guys are way underclassed here.
Yeah.
It just felt so fun. It's like, yeah, our two clans are finally united. It's like one clan is a lot better than the other clan.
Yeah, and maybe
Yeah.
that's partially because one kind of almost stayed like more religious to the point where they like were frugal and like
Mhm.
freed of even like the temptation of like
They
riches.
became basically monks in a
Yeah,
sense. I
they're
guess.
like
Yeah, that
monks.
makes sense.
And then you
Mhm.
have the people of like, we gave in to the worldly practices, and
Yeah.
it did make us rich, but it also made us like a little more corrupt. Like
Mhm.
we'll
Mhm.
kill anyone if the money's good.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know
That's a
what I
good
mean?
point.
So
Well, and it just like it kind of became a more open-minded thing because they like almost shunned anybody that
Mhm.
didn't keep their helmet on and didn't follow the creed and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And then I don't remember her name, the
armorer,
armorer,
Blacksmith lady.
Yeah,
She,
she was
walks
like,
both paths.
yeah,
dude,
Yeah.
only uses hammers too.
Oh, that
In all
was pretty
combat.
dope.
Pretty
That
dope.
was. I will say, using hammers on a jetpack, that's at least 1 point in your
She,
book.
like,
Everyone's blasting. She's like, no.
she was just like flying in and crushing the
Need the
armor.
immigrant song. Bam. That would have been sick, dude. She is maybe my favorite character.
Yeah,
She's so cool looking.
Yeah, I like her.
Like she just gets to have everything that just like
Mhm.
the fur and the like gold like spiked
And she
helmet.
talks like this.
yeah, she's
is
very.
the-
Did
way.
you? Okay, so Levi, when we were watching it, Levi's like, I'm not getting a good feeling from this blacksmith lady.
So towards the end, I started to get a little skeptical about her
Little sauce, if you
character
will.
because she was like heavy pushing for this retake Mandalore, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. We need to retake our home planet after it was destroyed. And then they get to the planet, and she's like, "Ooh, I'll take the wounded up to the ship." While so conveniently everybody else is attacked, and
Why don't you go into that dark cave?
and she was always very
Mandalore.
mysterious in this
Mandalore.
season. I mean, she was mysterious in the other seasons, but like she just like had a little more of like it seemed like she could have had a
Ulterior motive.
ulterior motive, like, hey, like we can take back Mandalore, but we have to kind of cut a deal with Moff Gideon to do that, kind of thing. Like I was reading a lot about it, like a couple people posted on social media like, hey, this is a little suspicious, and I'm like, dude, I kind of agree. But then the finale happened. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
She's wielding 2 hammers. She's cool.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I don't have any predictions. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's too. Sometimes they write too like ham-fisted, where they have to show you like every little step so that you can connect the dots.
Mhm.
That it would surprise me if they did something so secretive.
Yeah. Maybe.
But I'm
Be
also
pretty-
just gonna take a shot in the dark here. Let's see if it happens. I'm guessing the armor is Rey from the sequel trilogy.
Wow. What?
We'll see.
Oh, dude.
I think
you're
she's a
wrong.
Palpatine.
The problem is we will never be able to discredit you because she's never going to take off her helmet.
That's true. Ray is coming
It's-
back though.
Oh, I know. She's
Yeah.
the armor.
No.
Jordan
Oh
came
my
back.
gosh.
Where do you think she's gonna be?
No, but like she's
I've been playing-
reprising her role in like the new Jedi Order film.
Thank God.
Give her something to do that isn't. I'm Rey
She's not bad.
She's
It'll
not
be fine.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll be so much further.
Yeah.
15 more years of
This is-
less
yeah.
Skywalker
This
things.
is the thing, like, for me, and this is also hampering Mandalorian, where it's like, we defeated the Empire. Oh, wait,
No, you
we
didn't.
didn't defeat the
It's
Empire.
Hydra. You cut off the
And so
head
it's like, if
didn't
we
even
go
matter.
15 years on from
actual
defeat of the Empire, whatever you want to
What
call
does
it,
that look
and
like?
we have like New Jedi Order and all that stuff, like,
the power
that's what I
vacuum
wanted the
has
sequel
actually
trilogy
changed.
to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, like,
Way much farther into the
Yeah.
future.
like
Yeah.
let's cut
Well,
all these ties.
I'm just starting to get tired of these whole sequels thing. Like, give me freaking like old school like Jedi
That's why
Order.
you have to
Baby.
go way back in the other direction.
Like, dude.
I just think they gotta stop. They're really like
Jam-packed between
they
episodes
love
1.
this 100 years.
Yeah.
They just really love.
Well, it's the whole Skywalker.
Yeah,
saga
they're like,
thing.
we have to
that's-
connect it to Skywalker.
This is where we
somehow.
started, and if I feel like they're scared. They're like, if we abandon this, we might.
But we
not...
liked Mando, and it didn't connect. The first season didn't connect to anything.
No.
Right.
But then in second season they had Luke.
Sure.
And then Ahsoka. But it wasn't the main focus. But I'm talking about with like trilogy movies. Like, we haven't gotten any trilogy movie outside of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, and it does seem very dumb that they haven't done like a Knights of the Old Republic yet, because I think anyone who
Thank you.
cheered for Star Wars for the last 30 years would know what that is,
Mhm.
at least enough to go, I'd watch 3
Oh,
movies
yeah.
and give you
Yeah.
a shot.
Dude, like, give me freaking Malgus and like Darth Malgus. Give me freaking what the purple and
Revan?
red. Revan, thank you. Darth Revan. Like, give me old like because like
I just
the-
want 1,000 lightsabers on my screen.
I know.
That's
Dude,
all I
that like
care.
that cutscene from like the old Knights of the Old Republic game was just like all the Sith just lighting up on Coruscant.
Yeah,
I'm like,
let's
dude,
go.
just
Like-
give me that. Give me a 2-hour version
The
of that.
plot can just be 2 hours. It's just Saving
Lightsabers.
Private Ryan with
Oh,
lightsabers.
let's go.
I would make an argument that the cutscenes those animated cutscenes, however long they are, that we get from each of the Republic
Oh, they're
games
so good.
are better than the entire sequel trilogy.
Oh yeah.
And, combined.
Argument heard.
Very
valid.
Very
I
brave.
mean, like, they're so cool. You don't even have to make it live action. Give me that animation style in a trilogy.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Here's what I'll offer you. I'll offer you a hand to help as well. You could just give up on Star Wars and watch Dune.
Dude.
This is Nick's
Star
gospel
Wars-
right now.
Star
He's
Wars-
like,
Listen,
Has
there's been a
been-
New Testament. It's called Dune. You're living that OT life.
Dude, and I will. Star Wars has been a part of my life since birth. I don't think I will
get it.
ever.
You're under the Abraham law. I get it. But, like, Jesus has come. His name's Paul, and he rides worms, bro, and it's dope.
Okay. All right.
it is pretty dope.
I know.
I'm not saying I could ever. For me, like, Star Wars always has a place in my heart.
Oh, dude.
Nick hates Star
Yeah.
Wars, but
He grew up Old Testament. So
yeah.
it's hard to take that out.
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah.
I was merely adopted, but now
molded by him.
I've been molded by it.
Okay.
But
Spiceful
Dune
fun.
has some things, man.
Yeah. All right.
I say,
I'll watch it.
but Dune gets pretty crazy.
Dune gets crazy, but like in a way
Peak
that
Dune.
I can like let it happen because I'm not like emotionally like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, this guy, then this guy, and then the like it's beautiful, broken people in a beautifully imperfect world
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that is somehow perfect
Fair enough.
at the same time.
Amen.
A lot of
Okay.
sand. After you watch Dune, you might be mad that like George Lucas got away with what he got away with.
Okay.
It's a crime against humanity. Anyway,
Fair enough.
but here we are.
Positives of Mando season 3.
Yes, dude.
I'll tell you what,
You want to go first?
the ships, baby.
Dude, I feel like a friend recently told me the ships look good.
Dude. The details.
It looks
I
good.
was like, dang, when
I
they're
think it
on that
looks
ship,
good.
And then they're like, "Whoa, there's a ship." I'm
Oh,
like, "Damn right you are."
right.
Dude,
Wait, Star Wars and there's ships in this?
dude, one of the funniest, like, it wasn't even made to be funny, but like when the fleet came over the town where the guy was ruling it,
Mm-hmm.
the black guy, I can't remember his the
Yes, Lando Calrissian. No,
Yeah.
Lando Calrissian,
Dollar-
off-brand Lando Calrissian.
dollar store
Uh,
Orlando.
Yeah.
Apollo Creed.
Yeah, sure.
They were flying over it, and just like a civilian was like, "Oh my gosh, the Empire's here!" And the guy's like, "No, look at the big red insignia on the bottom. It's our friends." Like, the stupid civilian didn't see that initially.
No way,
Holy shit. Have you seen ships in this place?
That would be me. That would be me. Oh my gosh, there's a ship in the sky.
Gosh, I was laughing so hard.
That's so funny.
King, what? There's a ship and it's huge. Michael's involved.
That's funny. I love that.
Look at the red siblings on the symbols on the side.
Yeah.
I think some things I really like were when Grogu finally was like, "Hey, I'm in. I've been tapped in. It's time for me to be like." Me and Mando are now just like
in sync.
yes. What am I thinking of?
Backstreet's back.
Padawan and Jedi Master,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
With Star Wars.
That felt good. Like, I'm glad that they're finally figuring out, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to, like, keep my eye on you all the time. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I really like that. I'm glad we're finally there. It was sorely overdue, or should have, like, been figured out in a different way. So I'm glad that they finally got that. As silly as it was, I'm glad that they did it with the whole mythosaur thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like how, like, Din Djarin just, like,
Forgot they were not
dies for a
stairs.
second and then, like doesn't get to witness it. Like, that kind of sucked. But, like, to see the person who, like, went away from the way, see the one thing that would make her go, yo, what?
Yeah.
Like, okay. This stuff is still... That was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
I'm excited for the, like... I would like to know more about, like, what that... Why is that beast, mythosaur, why is that such a... why is it revered
Important
the way that
thing,
it is?
yeah.
Like, what does it do?
'Cause
What
it's
is
big.
its purpose? Sure. Well, when they were on the planet and that thing started coming out from the surface, they're like, "Oh, are we about to see it?" And it was just like, "Nope, it's just another generic dinosaur thing."
Yeah.
You know how many big monsters there are on this show?
Mhm.
There's always a big monster that's like, we're totally safe, and let's have this.
second season had a really good one. The third,
Oh, you loved, that sand thing?
yeah,
that
thing
was
sick,
awesome.
When it ate a Sarlacc, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, what?"
That was sick.
That was awesome.
That was
Yeah.
the best big monster in Star Wars, I'll tell you what.
You know what else has good monsters? Big old sand monsters. Dude. Anyway,
I felt like every moment where there was like, oh, what's gonna happen? Oh, a big turtle comes out of the water. Oh, a big bird comes out of the water. Oh, a big other turtle comes out of the rocks. It's like,
it honestly felt like a D&D campaign where it was
Yeah.
just like,
What do we
right,
do?
we made it to the next phase. What's our side quest? And they're like,
Big-
combat, roll for
Yeah.
initiative. It's like, damn it. Like, wait, what's going to happen? Like, turtles. Blah. And they're like, I just want to rest for a
Baby
second.
bird. Yeah.
yeah, it was a little excessive, but
And then they collected the baby birds. Was that to eat, or will they
no,
harness
they're
them?
gonna like ride them or something.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
so talk about that in your sandworms and
I will.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah.
How to-
How
how
about
to-
these naked
how to
chickens
train your-
that
yeah.
are like 1,000 feet tall?
How to
Let's go.
Train Your Bird Star Wars edition.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm in for it.
Other things we liked. I thought Jack Black was pretty cool.
Oh, dude.
Jack Black was excellent.
And then we got freaking
and Lizzo.
Christopher Lloyd.
He was married to
Yeah.
Lizzo.
Yeah, dude, I thought that was great.
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd.
ended up
Being a
the-
bad guy,
the
he's
bad
like,
guy.
I'm.
Yeah, there were some solid cameos.
Ooh, we got Zeb. From,
Yeah.
from,
Yes.
That was cool from Rebels.
Rebels, yeah. I thought that was like.
That was a
like,
nice little
He
touch.
Also
Yeah.
was in, I believe, the Jedi video game that just came out recently.
The new one,
Isn't he?
Jedi Survivor.
Yeah,
I
not
don't know.
Survivor, but
Jedi Order, Jedi.
Fallen
Fallen
Order.
Order.
Oh, the
Was he in
the
that
first
one?
I
one?
thought he was. No.
I didn't think
I don't
so.
remember.
No, there's a guy that's in the same
Like species.
species that you is your like Jedi
Oh,
master.
yeah.
Okay, that's
yeah,
what I'm thinking
that's
of.
the same.
Okay,
he's
okay.
the same race. Yeah,
Okay,
he's
got it.
Cal Kestis's master.
Got it.
During Order 66.
Okay, that was like, is he also? Okay, never mind.
No.
Okay.
But yeah, that was cool to see him.
Mm-hmm. For a little brief second.
Mm-hmm.
I think something I'm excited is the future of this, where he goes to the Republic guy and he's like, "Call me up next time."
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to sit through 3 so that 4 could be like epic,
Mm-hmm.
then
That's fine.
I'll stop griping.
Yeah.
I just feel like the way I see it now, you move 2 little pieces, you could have released this as 1, 3, and 2,
Mhm.
and we would have been ending on a much higher note
Yeah.
than we are now.
Sure.
Mhm.
And maybe we send off Grogu and it happens, but maybe now they'll function more as like an actual duo and not just a
like
babysitter who has to kill
exactly.
people.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Zeb cameo was like also to set up Ahsoka, because we're supposed to get Ahsoka is supposed to have. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if it
3
crosses over.
characters from Rebels. Like we're supposed to have. Oh my gosh!
The girl's name Sabine or something.
Sabine, and then
Zeb.
dude, I am losing the names.
Ezra,
thank you. Goodness
Armorer.
gracious.
Yep.
And then
The
Thrawn. So I mean, they're setting up stuff. Maybe the cameo was just like, hey, he's here, cool. A little cameo. But Dave Filoni was also in the season finale.
Oh, yeah.
Did you catch that? In the,
Big
in
cowboy
the,
hat.
in the bar. He was wearing a cowboy hat on the
The
left.
biggest hat in the
Nice.
galaxy, and that's Cad Bane still in that galaxy.
Dude, maybe he stole that hat from Cad Bane.
Maybe, yeah.
That's funny.
I think the biggest positive for me in this series was the heavy emphasis on Mandalorians. I mean, this show is literally called The Mandalorian, and granted, it was just to focus on Din Djarin, which was cool, and then we got to see him kind of go into the underground in season 1, and then it was explored a little bit more in season 2, and then season 2.5, they're like stranded on like a
There's just the 2 of them. Yeah.
And then I don't know, I really like the whole emphasis of like we're getting the gang back together, we're gonna try to retake Mandalore. Sure. I really liked it.
All that.
Just like the
and
society.
maybe the Mandalorian no longer means
him
singular.
Yeah, so it could just be like the whole group.
Yeah.
And I honestly will say like the whole just like religious, non-religious view of how a Mandalorian should live their life was interesting, because even though there was a lot of unspoken stuff happening, Bo-Katan was kind of our like person who was trying to thread that needle of being both. And I think the Armorer knew that, because it's like you had a vision of something that you no longer really even believe in, and it's making you kind of think that you are really kind of with us. And then she like left her helmet on for like a really, really long time, and then like finally kind of went back to her like she can walk both. And I think that was really cool. Yeah. And the ideas behind that, they didn't explore them a lot, but I think like I will say they do a good job in this show of having people who wear helmets and you can't even see their face somehow
and still, like,
expressing like thought and like conviction, which is cool. So that's always impressive. And I think if we had to do that with Bo-Katan instead of Din Djarin, then like I'm here for it. It was cool.
Yeah, props to every like actress that was playing the Armorer. Like, we're not seeing her face. What kind of exposure she's getting to like marketing herself.
Yeah, 'cause that's definitely a Marvel thing too, where it's like, hey, we have like 3 seconds in between battles. It's me, Chris Evans.
Yes.
Or like it's me, RDJ. You know, like,
we have to talk with our mask
Pedro,
stuff. Or like
was
Ant-Man.
not even in the show. Like,
he didn't even show it.
Like,
He didn't show.
So
he probably wasn't even on set.
fair enough.
Yeah,
Any
I think.
last minute thoughts here?
Let's see. I had a couple of thoughts. I like the change in Bo's character, because like Din Djarin goes to her and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Mandalore. I could use some help." And she's like, "Oh, you're wasting your time. Like, there's no hope. It's all poison. You can't, whatever." And then once she finds out that it isn't, she's like, "Oh, we can actually do something about this now. Like, we can actually have a chance to take back Mandalore." So it was kind of, I guess it was kind of neat to see, like, just she was like kind of in a dark place. Like, there's no hope. I have no purpose. I'm like kind of just sitting in this palace and I'm not doing anything. And then now she's like, okay, now that we're Mandalore, there's kind of a good continuation of a character for her. I really liked how the hand-to-hand combat in this season was awesome. And in the Mandalorian battles, like, I texted Michael before I came up here. I was like, "Hey, we got when we're talking about this, I make sure remind me to talk about the town episode when they're being
vibro knives and stuff.
when they're like being invaded by the pirates, and then they get the recruitment of the Mandalorians. It just was like it was all cool. Tactical, and it was cool. They moved as a unit, and then I don't know, it just worked. And then the finale when Din Djarin was fighting just the stormtroopers, he had no blasters and just using his hand-to-hand combat. We didn't really get to see a whole lot of that because he usually just has his blasters, or he used the darksaber. But now we got to see him like just like use his skills, and it was very like John Wick-esque, reminiscent of like just him owning
A
everybody
John
around
Wick
him.
style movie in the Star Wars universe could be good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
It just also like see like the Mandalorian be kind of capable, because there's sometimes where it's like, oh, he didn't check that there were stairs in this pool and he just falls and like gets knocked out and whatever.
yeah.
Or like he gets beat up by a bunch of Jawas. It's like, oh wait, he can beat up a guy and
Yeah.
kill
Feels
and
good,
like
yeah.
do his job well.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I feel like especially the last episode was like, oh, this guy actually knows how to fight. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like his skill doesn't just rely on his blasters. It's like he can do or his blasters or his gadgets, because he had just about everything stripped from him.
Yeah.
Jetpack attack.
Yeah. So it was.
The knee rockets.
There was again a lot of positives, but some negatives that I think.
Sure.
Yeah, it was just it was a good season, but it wasn't like one or two by any means.
Yeah.
Star Wars will, I think, never not be entertaining,
Yeah.
Right.
and so we'll never not probably give up on it at some
No.
degree, unless you're a Dune fan. But even I'm still watching this stuff, so hey,
Yeah.
I'm not changed completely.
Nick, I don't know if you've heard it on the podcast, but Nick has the opinion that Star Wars, the all-encompassing net score of Star Wars is a 7 out of 10.
That's correct.
Okay. I'd
Good
say
and
that's-
bad, 7 out of 10.
I would say that's fair for somebody that's not like an avid diehard fan like Michael and I. You
Yeah,
know,
sure.
like for somebody that like will watch it and will enjoy it, a 7 out of 10 is
For sure.
it's a great score.
I think overall that's actually a good score for anything.
Fair. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the Star Wars universe is ever expanding. I just hope that they do it justice.
Mm.
Yeah. I
because-
think it's still in the best hands,
Yeah.
as much as they've, hurt the opinion of most fans. I think
Yeah.
this is the most funding they'll ever have. So
Mhm.
let's just let them. They'll keep hitting. It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. I mean, they make amazing looking movies. Just sometimes the story and the acting just does not
Yeah.
match that same energy level
hmm
of technological creativity.
Mhm.
Well, we are thankful that you made the trip exclusively just for this podcast.
That's right.
We'll
Yep,
never
I'm
be able
leaving
to repay
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I came in today like 6 hours ago, and then
It's a quick
I'm leaving
trip.
again tomorrow morning. So
You're insane.
no, I'm just kidding.
But no, we appreciate having you. And
thanks for having me for a fourth time.
dude, anytime.
Love being on.
If you ever
this
want to talk about
podcast.
anything, if you want to talk about this exact season again, we will. Might not be an episode, but we'll talk about it. But yeah, so I don't know if you've heard any reviews on Mandalorian Season 3. It's been out for a little bit now, but you've definitely heard from us. Not us, United.
That's right.
Goodbye, everybody.
Adios.
This is the way.
This is the way.
You've just listened to Not Us United. You can find us under Not Us United on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please leave us a review and consider subscribing to our podcast. You can reach out for future podcast topic suggestions at notusunitedpod@gmail.com.